Hey guys! For today's geometric drawing, all you need is a ruler and a pencil. You'll also probably want a scratch piece of paper or a whiteboard you'll see me using to complete some, crunch some numbers on, complete some math problems. There's going to be quite a bit of dividing or multiplying involved. We are just working with squares this time, which we've done before, so it'll look kind of similar, but it'll be a bit different. So to start off, we want to make an 8x8 square, and we've done this before. So if we turn our paper horizontally, we will go ahead and line up on the long edge of your paper your ruler, and you're going to make a mark 2 1/4 inches in, and I do that on the other end as well. And it's okay if the marks aren't exactly across from each other, but you want 2 1/4 inches in. I turn my paper around and I do the same thing on the other end. Two and a fourth. 2 1/4. Here I just put 2 1/4 at the edge of my paper. You can also flip it around if you want and go from 0 to 2 1/4. Okay, good. That takes care of those sides. Now if I go this way, I'm going to go a little bit further than half an inch. So half an inch and then 1/16 tick mark. And over here, that would be half an inch and a tick mark is right there. So then when I go between those tick marks, it should be 8 inches. Looks good. Okay, let's draw our first line. Eight inches. Okay. And from that line, I will go across. Okay, so what I want to do here is actually mark 8 inches right here, and then do the same thing down here. And I messed up just a little bit. Those tick marks that we did over here we're not going to need, they won't work anymore. But basically we're just trying to get an 8 by 8 inch square. So I'm going to go ahead and draw another line for 8 inches here. And then if I go here to here, 8 inches. Okay, so my square isn't perfectly centered, but it's a solid square. I'm going to go with it. Okay. So next, last time we did a geometric progression of squares. We kept doing a square inside of a square, right? This time, we are going to be doing a similar thing, but making it kind of look like a spiral of squares. So we want to, instead of finding, before we found the midpoint of one of our line segments, and then from that midpoint started a square to the other midpoints like that, right? This time, we're going to take our line of 8 inches and we're going to split it into 4 parts, and we're going to make our point a 4th way down the line. So if I take 8 inches, this is where we start to do some math here. And it's really simple, right? If I divide 8 by 4, I get 2. Okay, so I want to make a mark 2 inches in on every line segment here. 2, turn my square, 2, turn my square, 2, one more side, 2 inches. Okay, now I like to make a little ball right where it intersects so that I can be exact when I make my next square. So now I'm just going to connect those dots that I made. There we go. So you can see it looks like we drew a square inside this square, but it's tilted. Okay. In this square, we want to find out how long is every side. Looks like it's about 6 1/4 inches. And I'm going to look at the next side and see, does it also measure 6 1/4? Just about. Okay. So I'm going to take 6 1/4 and I need to divide that by 4. Now, since I'm working with a fraction this time, I'm going to actually multiply by 1/4 instead of dividing by 4. It's the same thing. If I actually turned this into a multiplication problem, that's what would happen. So multiplying by 1/4 is the same as dividing by 1/4. Okay, so now I need to change this into an improper fraction. So we get 25/4 times 1/4. Okay, I multiply across and I have 25/16. Okay, now I know on my ruler, every little tick mark is a 16th, right? Let's find out, do you think 16 can go into 25 twice? No, that gives me 32. So I know I'm going to have 1 whole inch and then some left over. So that's 25 minus 16 to find out. 15 minus 6, I get 9. So I have 9 left over. That means this is equal to 1 9/16. So that's where I want to make my mark on every line segment this time. Line it up, I'm at 1, and then I want to go 9 tick marks. So 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 lands me here. So this you can see a bit tedious, and you want to be as exact as you can be. 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, right here. Oh, you know what? I messed up on that. I need to make sure I do the 1 first. So that's 1 and 2, 4, 6, 8, 9/16. And if you do make a mistake, you will be able to see it pretty quickly when you start drawing your square. 1 and 2, 4, 6, 8, 9/16. And I have one more side. 1 and 2, 4, 6, 8, 9/16. Okay. Now I just need to connect all of those marks that I just made. Okay, looking good so far. What's the measurement of this length now? Looks like 5. Yep. Okay, so if I take 5, and I want to find 1/4 of it, I can divide by 4, or I can multiply by 1/4. Do what you think would be easiest. I'm going to call it 5/4. It all ends up being the same. So 4 goes into 5 once, and then there's 1/4 left over. So I have 1 1/4. Make a mark at 1 1/4 on every length, side length right now. Awesome. Okay. Connect these guys. Here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, you're starting to see what's happening. What is our new measure? Looks like 4 inches, which would be so awesome because that's so easy to split up into fourths. So 4 divided by 4, I get 1. Now it's okay if it's like a little bit off, like when I measure this side. It's just a 1/16 off from 4 inches. That's okay. You don't need to be super anal with it, but you also don't want to fudge it too much. Okay, connect these. Awesome. What's our new side length? Looks like about 3. 3 1/8, really. We'll call it 3. So 3 divided by 4, what does that look like when you do it? 3 divided by 4. Looks like 3/4. So all we need to do is make a tick mark at 3/4 on our ruler. And we connect those dots. And you can see we're just going to keep going. So you can continue this method on your own, this pattern, or you can continue to follow along with me. I love how this is looking. Okay. What's the length of this square? Looks like 2 1/2. Check this side. Yep, 2 1/2. Back to my math board. Two and a half times 1/4. Same as dividing by 4, right? So I turn this into improper. I get 5 halves times a fourth. That gives me 5/8. Awesome. I love that fraction for this ruler because I know that every 2 little tick marks is an eighth, right? Because 1 tick mark is a 16th. So we have 5/8, getting into smaller and smaller increments. So 5/8 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice, if you can see, I know it's hard, I'm counting every other tick mark is an eighth. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Line these babies up. Draw my lines. Okay. What's our new side length of our new square? 2 inches. Okay, 2 divided by 4. Oh, that's 2/4. Can I simplify that fraction? Yes, I can. We have a half. Half of an inch. Half is right here. Half. Half. And half. Okay. One line. 2. Last line. Okay, it's looking pretty solid. Do you think we can do one more square? Looks like we're measuring at 1.5 inches this time. So I'm going to take 1.5 and divide it by 4, or multiply it by 1/4. Same idea. Mixed number here, so let's turn it. We get 2 3/2 times 1/4, and that gives us 3/8. Awesome. We love that 8 because we have 8s on our ruler. Three eighths. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Last one. 1, 2, 3. All right. So this takes time, but that's what makes it so great. And if you do it right, the result is pretty awesome. Okay, should we go for one more? I'm gonna try. Let's see. Looks like we have 1 1/4. So 1 1/4 times 1/4. That gives us 5/4 times 1/4. And I get 5/16. We like this fraction because we have 16ths on our ruler. Five little tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, two, three, four, 5. One, two, three, four, 5. Last side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ta-da! Okay. So that's our last square. So if we count our squares, how many did we draw today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you should have 10 squares in this drawing. I'll write down the coloring instructions